special episode of Canadian Mortgage Weekly. It is episode 65 today, and if you're joining us, that means that you must be tuning in for the Bank of Canada interest rate announcement. So we're so excited to talk about it a bit, look at some events leading up, and as always, we're joined this morning with Joe Bladdock. Joe, how are you doing today?
Hey, Sam, I'm doing really well. Thanks for introducing the show. I'm really pumped to be here as well. It's a big announcement today. There's a lot of lead up to today, and looking forward to talking about the events and some of the news leading up to today as well, Sam.
Yeah, absolutely. So again, for anybody who doesn't know, the Bank of Canada has eight interest rate announcements every year. We had seen one earlier, and the second announcement of 2020 is today. So again, I think we wanted to chat a bit about some of the news leading up to today's announcement. There's been definitely a lot of current events over even just the last few months. It's been a busy 2022.
It really has been a busy 2022. I know we started out the year, everyone had the sentiment that the economy was doing well and that the rates were going to start heading up pretty quickly. And then we had some supply issues that Canada ran into in the beginning of the year that the Bank of Canada mentioned. And just we did have the trucker convoy as well, and that affected movement of goods and services throughout Canada, which did put a little bit of a damper on the sentiment of increasing rates. But since then, it's been since that's been cleared up, there's been a growing sentiment that rates would climb back up, and that convoy being cleared out would make way for the rates to move up further. But then now we have a new crisis with this Ukraine and Russia conflict that has arisen, that a lot of people just don't know where the economy is going to go from here.
Yeah, I mean, that's absolutely true. There's been definitely a lot of concern over what's happening, and I think we've seen some ripple effects in some of the market. We'll get to the 5-year bond yield later in the episode, but I think that is again a strong case of a possibility for them to hold off a potential rate increase for the Bank of Canada.
Yeah, and with the other impacts that are happening as well, there's other news leading up to today, and that has been there's inflation hitting a 30-year high of 5 points, around 5% this year. So that's quite a substantial figure on inflation. Usually we see that around 1 or 2%. So the Bank of Canada would probably need to act on that sooner rather than later to keep that target lower as well. But yes, let's look at the bond yield, Sam, because we have been tracking that on Canadian Mortgage Weekly, and that has had some recent movements just in the last 24 to 48 hours.
That's right. If anybody does track the bond yield, then you would have noticed a fairly significant dip going into, I believe it was last updated yesterday, where it dropped 0.21%. So it went from a previous, not necessarily high, but it was sitting at the high, 1.7% range. So it dropped from about 1.74 to 1.53. So that's a substantial drop to happen in the course, like you're saying, of 24 hours. Usually we see, a 0.2% change would be spread out over a few days. We could see a gradual trend lower, but this drop off is quite dramatic to all happen within a day.
It is quite dramatic, and I wonder if the recent news from the conflict has anything to do with the current bond yield. I know that the stock markets have really been impacted as well. So we'll see what happens with rates going forward. We'll track those on Canadian Mortgage Weekly. So we'll make sure that we follow that. But going forward, the CDOR rate is another metric we like to follow here. And there's an increase of 0.2% since February 1st that we've noticed on the CDOR rate. So that variance is decreasing now. And, that does sort of show that there is more pressure on the Bank of Canada to raise rates today than not. But, what do you think the articles have been saying there, Sam? I know that we like to follow that as well here on our rate announcement show.
Yeah, I mean, if you have been tracking any articles, I feel like we've been seeing them probably for the last week or so. That, I think most economists are in agreement, and again, a lot of the articles that we've been seeing are all in agreement that at least a 0.25% increase is expected. There was a few sources from an article on Canadian mortgage trends where RBC had said they're expecting almost a increase today as well as one as early as next week. And again, there's a lot of that pressure from inflation being 5.1% and that increase to start to rise as we're seeing the economy grow. We're seeing that Omicron seems to be a thing of the past. I think that was a bit of uncertainty around the last announcement as well. But yeah, I think predominantly the articles have really been pointing in a certain direction.
Absolutely correct there. And yes, Omicron was a worry last time around. We had a little bit of a surge happening at that time, and that's really tapered off since that, which you're absolutely right. And, there's also a sentiment, just like agreements among our clients as well that are calling and wanting to either lock in their mortgage or get a new mortgage that is a variable rate mortgage. They all just have a agreements that, we all see rates going up in the near future. We expect the rates to go up. We just don't know how much and how fast, but we also are assuming rates are going to go up, and they're expecting that in their mortgage plan going forward. So even our clients know that that's what is expected. So yeah, let's take a look at the last time there was a rate increase, Sam.
Yeah, absolutely. The last time was all the way back in 2018, in October, where there was an increase of only 0.25%. So again, a lot of these clients who had opted into a variable have either seen the rates drop or they've always been experiencing these low rates. So it makes sense why a lot of clients are now thinking, they're hearing a rate hike hasn't happened in since 2018. A bit of panic maybe is starting to set in, which is understandable, right? They haven't had to worry about looming rate hikes for that variable rate.
Very understandable, Sam. It's a nice place to be when you don't have to worry about rate hikes.
That's
and,
right.
and now looking into, because we haven't had a rate increase for that large spread of time, 3.5 years now, it's almost expected now. So people are ready for it. People have built in their budget for it. So, and the last time there was a rate decrease, I think that was right at the start of COVID there, Sam, and that was a drop of a half a point, and that was just to stimulate the economy during the COVID crisis. So with that, with Omicron being gone, is COVID gone? Maybe that's where the Bank of Canada could get the logic to increase rates back up.
Yeah.
What are other websites reporting, Sam, with the current rates and where they think they're headed?
Yeah, I know there's been a number of articles and websites. I know that CBC had an article where they had been chatting with economists. And again, I think the vast majority had pulled in that it was going to be a 0.25% rate increase. As well as some were also calling for a possible 0.5% rate hike. So a double increase almost at this rate change. So I think again the mass census from all of the platforms and articles and economists is that we should definitely expect. I know we said all this last rate announcement, but I think that especially because many economists were calling for it last time and it didn't happen, I think it's going to actually happen this time.
Well, the website that we do follow, Mortgage Dashboard, does say that the chances of a rate increase are at 139%, which is quite a high chance of rain today.
That's right.
And if anyone's wondering just how good of a deal a variable rate mortgage is today, there's still 6 to 7 rate hikes between the current variable rate and the current fixed rate. So you would have to have your rate increase 6 to 7 quarter points for you to hit the current fixed rate. So there's still a pretty decent spread. But let's take a look at what happens if rates change today. So if rates change, any one of those who have a variable rate mortgage today or home equity line of credit or variable rate car loan or credit card, you will be affected. Your payments or your length of time that it takes to pay off your loan will change. And also, if rates change, the payment typically will change with your loan. And if rates increase, your payments will increase, or the amount of time, if your payment stays static, your loan is being paid over will increase. And if rates decrease, then accordingly, and they probably won't, Sam, but payments will go down. And
That's right.
the amount, if your payment is static, the amount of time it takes to pay off your loan will decrease. So let's see. The big moment we've been waiting for, Sam. Do you have that announcement ready to go?
I do. So just in today, from the Bank of Canada press release, they have increased their target rate by 0.25%.
All right. Well, that's exciting.
Yeah, that's right. We did see that 0.25% increase after all. It is definitely, yeah, again, a change for people with variable rates. It had been static for 2 years since last March, and haven't seen an increase for 3.5. So it'll be many variable rate, mortgage or line of credit clients that are going to be experiencing a rate increase.
Exactly. Yeah. So if you have a variable rate mortgage, as Sam is saying, you will either have your payments increase as of your next payment, or the amount of time that's going to take off to pay your loan will increase if you have a static payment. And your line of credit, your minimum payments are going to go up by 0.25 percentage point. So if you have any questions about any of this information, feel free to call Sam or myself to contact us and set an appointment where we can go over your specific questions with your mortgage or your home equity line of credit, or even if you need help with your vehicle loan, we can assist you with that. And maybe you want to lock in your car loan from a variable rate car loan. We have access to fixed rate vehicle loans as well. And Sam, when's that next rate announcement coming? Because we did talk about a possible second rate increase. So we do need to keep an eye on the next rate announcement just so we can keep our viewers posted.
Yeah, absolutely. The next rate announcement is going to be on April the 13th. So coming up quite quick. We've had these past, last rate announcement to this one, to the next one is going to be a relatively tight window. So again, I know there was a couple predictions that we could see another hike as early as April. So stick around and stay tuned on April 13th as we bring you the live update. Again, is looking at some mortgage stats leading up to it and what we're seeing on our end.
That's fantastic, Sam. And tune in tomorrow on our regularly scheduled program. But before we do that, I just want to take a moment and introduce Sam here. He's been a great addition here to our show. And Sam Thompson is a mortgage professional, lives in the Barrie area, originally from Ottawa, Ontario, moved here just over 2 years ago and has been with Mega Mortgage, powered by Verico Lend at Ease, for just over 2 years. So Sam lives in Barrie with his wife Grace and his dog Milo. And it's great to have you on the show today, Sam, and to have you share all that great info just leading up to today's Bank of Canada announcement.
Yeah, thanks so much for the introduction and for having me on today's episode. Like you said, it was definitely a big announcement. And right back at you again. Joe Bladdock is a mortgage professional in the Aurelia area, living there with his wife Mel and his 2 kids in the industry for over 11 years. So definitely appreciate the insight and the knowledge that you bring on our videos. So it was great to have be a part of today's video and go through the announcement with you.
Yeah, absolutely, Sam. Thank you very much. And join us tomorrow for our regularly scheduled program of Canadian Mortgage Weekly, Canada's video mortgage news podcast, where we will have Ruth Ann Osborne join us from Windsor, and she will provide us with an update for the Windsor market. And we're looking forward to having you on the show, Ruth Ann. Look forward to having your comments. And if anyone's looking to get into that market, join us. There's gonna be some great stats and some great information. And if you're looking to ask a question, what a great time to throw some questions out to a realtor in that specific area.
Yeah.
Yeah. So thanks for joining us today. And as usual, if you have any comments, questions, if you like what you see, follow, like, comment, and share. And if you want to contact us, do so with a private message. We'll be glad to help you with your mortgage questions. And you have a great day. And we'll see you.